Greetings, Starfighters. It's Adam with Errata Non Grata, and we've got some more Atari news here. Before I jump into that, the reason I say Greetings, Starfighters is because today, July 13th, is the 39th anniversary of the Last Starfighter movie, which had some involvement with Atari. They picked up the license for the film. Unfortunately, because it didn't perform as well as they had hoped, and Atari had just been sold to, or part of Atari had been sold off to the Trammels, that they didn't pursue those things. But there was an actual Atari arcade game in development, and there's footage of that on YouTube that you can find. There was also fan remakes of the gameplay that is findable out there, and I think playable on PC or MAME. But anyways, if you haven't watched The Last Starfighter in a while, it's a great day to pick that back up. I also posted an article on arcadeheroes.com where I talk a little bit about that and what I would do if I was given the director reins to remake it. But anyways, that's not really why we're here. We're here because Atari announced a new game today, and it's also something based on one of their old 70s IP games, and that is Lunar Lander Beyond. Now, Lunar Lander, it was released, I want to say, was it 78, 79, to arcades. It was a cool, innovative game. It was Atari's very first vector monitor game, which allowed it to do scaling and such. I've never owned a Lunar Lander cabinet, but being an arcade business owner, being heavily involved in all sorts of aspects of the industry, I've played it plenty of times. Played it, I think, only once on the actual arcade cabinet at California Extreme. Yeah, it's a cool game, but not the first one that would pop to mind for being console game material. And of course, with the with this, I'm sure they're not looking to bring it to arcades at all. At least in the press release that I got, it said it's coming to PC and consoles in 2024. But let's take a look for the first time at this trailer that's on YouTube. I'm so glad that the current Atari has restored the old logo instead of the infograms he's using for a few years.
Chosen for us by ancestors from centuries past. And so, here we are.
2D animated style. I don't know
across
if it's supposed to be
planets.
from in-game
We
or
reach
not.
out into space, grasping for the infinite.
I never heard of this developer until I saw the press release. So I'm not familiar with their work.
Our forebears chose the moon, for they never lived to travel.
Interesting.
Beyond.
Well, I would say I'm intrigued, but I need to know more. It appears to me like there will be multiple places to go, multiple moons to visit, maybe you'll land on them and claim something, and then move on to the next, or maybe there's certain objectives. I'm not sure from that, but that's what I would guess from that. And obviously, again, it's very different from the arcade game, and I wouldn't really expect them to be doing a repeat of the arcade game unless this was one of the recharged titles, which do stick pretty close to the original formulas, but obviously change some things up. As I've told many people before, and particularly on my other channel, Arcade Heroes, you can't take a game that was designed from the ground up for consoles, throw it into an arcade cabinet and call it a day and consider it to be a smashing success. Yeah, it might make a few bucks, but if you want something to actually generate revenue for a location and also be memorable, it needs to be designed from the ground up for arcades, and that requires a different mentality, a different approach to be able to create the game, because arcades don't allow you to sit around and let Sonic tap his foot or Major Havoc tap his foot, for example, or farming items or anything like that. How it's been described to me is that arcade game design is like riding a roller coaster, where you get on and then it's a bunch of thrills for a couple of minutes and then you get off. And so while your credit is in the machine, they want to throw as many thrills at you as they can in that time. And so that means that things like narrative progression or storytelling is going to be pretty curt, if not always skippable. So it's not essential for you to always know what's going on, although it can be integrated in different ways. And there have been some games which have successfully been able to tell a story without it getting in the way of the action on an arcade machine, but where a lot of console games these days are more focused on almost being like interactive movies. That's where that style of play and, like I mentioned, farming items and such just doesn't really work out for arcade style play. But yeah, what do you think about this? I do like that they're bringing an old IP back and finding a way to reinvent it and reinvigorate it. I'm not sure if they're going to be using a character like Commander Champion or Major Havoc here, who might have been the person explaining what was going on there. Could be a totally new character. And soon I'm going to have a video about Atari's characters and the ones that they've had, mainly from their older days, not so much the newer ones, or the latest days. But yeah, what do you think about this? Excited? Intrigued? Bored? What is it that you think about Lunar Lander Beyond? I personally, again, like I said, intrigued, but I need more information, and so we'll see what they unveil in the run-up to 2024 and this game's release. But another good one on Wade Rosen and the current Atari leadership and trying to find a way to bring something back. And hopefully it's not like that Asteroids Outpost announcement from some years ago where they were going to totally change it into like a first-person shooter or something strange like that. But of course, that's the other thing too, to hold off on our judgments. This could be good or it could suck, and hopefully it's not the latter. But we'll see come next year. But thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next piece of news, or stay tuned for that character video I mentioned.